Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano video. So this one is an interview I had with Vineeth from Emurgo, all about the stablecoin, the fiat-backed stablecoin they are launching on Cardano. So they are looking to launch in February. That's the time frame they're looking at. I think when it is a fiat-backed one and regulation, potentially that might get pushed out, but we'll wait and see. For now, they're targeting February. I think this would be really good for the Cardano ecosystem because gives us other options with stablecoins, and for me it would be a very easy on-ramp for people to get into crypto, so they could come straight into Cardano rather than having to go a roundabout way. They could go through Ansen and the banks that they're setting up there, so it would be depositing your fiat and then you get your stablecoin on Cardano and you can decide what to do from there. So again, anything that makes it easier for people to on and off ramp is only a good thing. I also asked about Emurgo and what else we can expect to see from them. Talk about Yoroi and the issues that have been there. He has said they have done a lot of work on that and we should see a big improvement in Yoroi now, as well as some other things that Emurgo are looking to get into. We will do a follow-up early next year to try and see where things are at with Emurgo in general and with the fiat stablecoin USDA. Questions, leave them down below. Share it out if you think others can benefit. I do appreciate it. On the audio as well, you will hear a bit of background noise because for the interview we were sat in the Emurgo booth, so there was a lot of people around, but I think the voices of myself and Vineeth should be fairly clear coming through. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano video live from the Cardano Summit 2022. So I'm sat in the Emurgo booth here now with Vineeth to find out about Emurgo, what they do in the Cardano ecosystem, and to talk a bit about what he has announced earlier on today. So Vineeth, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
So when there's lots of questions around where Emurgo fits into Cardano with the foundation and IOG and everything. So today he announced a fiat stablecoin. Do you want to talk a bit about that, how it will work and why you're bringing this out now?
Yeah, so one of the things that we realized that was a rather substantial gap within the Cardano ecosystem was having a fully collateralized fiat-backed stablecoin within the ecosystem. So we wanted to create a rather simple and straightforward way for anyone within the ecosystem to be able to get an account set up, deposit funds, and get those funds tokenized as a Cardano native asset that are 100% backed by a collateral account, and then be able to freely use that within the DeFi ecosystem.
Okay, yeah, a stablecoin has really been missing in the Cardano ecosystem up to this point. Like when you look at other chains, other blockchains, a stablecoin pair is generally the highest trade volume. And if you want to do any serious trading, you don't always want two volatile assets like ADA against a native token. There's questions in around, I do like the Euro option as well, being in Ireland and even looking into things like gold or other assets that can be tokenized essentially. But who holds custody of the funds? So if I have $10,000 I want to put in, how do I get that into the Cardano blockchain?
Definitely. So there's actually a couple of levels to this answer that I kind of want to start with. One, which is what we're going to be introducing in Q1 of 2023, and then kind of how this is going to expand going forward. So at the very beginning, we're partnering with a US regulated trust company to be custodying the assets. But the way in which we've set up our Ansen's platform is it's basically a technology stack to mint and burn Cardano native assets based upon the custody of any regulated entity. So if there's another regulated entity, let's say in Europe or in Asia or anybody else that would like to partner with us, we've built our technology infrastructure stack to sit on top of their current custody holdings and be able to tokenize their assets. So at this point in time, to kind of answer your question, for the USDA, that'll be held in custody at a US regulated trust company. We'll be making an announcement on who that partner is in the coming weeks, but there will be the ones that are kind of holding all of the dollar deposits for USDA.
Okay, and I presume, look, there's always questions about USDT and audits and transparency, which we get to a degree. Will there be audited accounts and stuff then for USDA that's open to the public?
Oh, entirely. So we're planning on working with a law firm. We're in the process of interviewing a couple of them at this point in time to provide monthly attestations for the cash that's being held within the actual trust company. One of the advantages of the trust company that we're partnering with at this point in time is the fact that they offer basically trust services as an API. So we're planning on actually having a real-time insights in regards to exactly what's being held within that account. So even between those monthly attestations from the auditing firm anyone that holds tokens or anyone that's in the general public can actually quickly just look in to see what's actually being held within our accounts at that trust company directly from the trust company itself.
Okay, nice. So then people could look at that and then compare the actual native assets on chain to make sure
everything's 100% backed.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, and there's questions as well around, people say we won't get USDC or USDT because they can't be frozen because some regulators require that functionality. Will USDA be a native asset on Cardano, which if it's a native asset or a native token, it can't be frozen?
Yeah, so at this point in time, the plan is to issue USDA as a native token. And there's at this point in time, it's not our intention to be able to freeze those assets. But if there ever is a scenario similar to what takes place in the Ethereum ecosystem with the requirement of assets to be frozen, for us, the way in which we're looking to kind of address this issue is when those assets come back to Anzens or come back to Emurgo and us actually paying out the dollars on the back end of that, that's where we'll start to put in restrictions in regards to where people can or cannot withdraw their capital at a given point in time. So like right now, there's kind of like a balancing act between, do you want a central counterparty to be able to freeze the assets on chain versus being able to actually freeze those dollars when you're bridging or interacting with the real world?
Yeah, it's a complex one because even if you freeze it at the end point, potentially the person who done the wrongdoing
is the
has
one
already
that's able to move it out,
traded it through other tokens and stuff and back in. So it's a hard one. And
correct.
The regulation landscape is something that's a minefield, I'd say. How far along are you on that side? Like, we're hoping, you mentioned in your talk, a February launch. So is the regulation work already in the process, or how far along are you with that?
Yeah, so the regulatory work, a lot of that's already been completed. We're hopefully going to be having a legal opinion in the next week or so, kind of attesting to our flow of funds and how everything that we're working on currently fits within regulation. The one challenge though right now with regulation in crypto is it is quite fast moving and quite dynamic, especially given the fallout of the whole FTX scenario.
Yeah, lots of open questions on what happened there, how it got that far, and I think it will definitely put stricter eyes on crypto and regulation and everything. So it's good to hear you're already part of the way along that process, because it's something I would say takes a long time to get through.
And this is one of the things where we want to work hand in hand with regulators, where it's there's a gap in knowledge that I think exists between people both in the DeFi ecosystem in regards to what is necessary from a regulatory standpoint to be able to conduct transactions and conduct business in, I would say, the traditional world. And there's also a gap in knowledge from people like regulators, politicians that are making these policy decisions in regards to how exactly DeFi functions. And I think having someone, or having, again, another bridge between those two worlds to be able to walk through with regulators going, this can be regulated, this cannot be regulated, would be really helpful to actually put forth protections for people within crypto. Because I think, whenever you're dealing with a real world asset, regulation is actually a benefit as opposed to a detriment, primarily due to the fact that with regulation, you can actually prove that a native asset on the Cardano blockchain is an actual perfected interest in the underlying asset that backs that token.
Yeah, it's a hard one, and there definitely is education needed, both sides. The ideology of crypto and not needing regulation and it can regulate itself, in reality it's not going to happen. We have to allow regulation in, but we want to have a say in that, and so that they don't. We see some of the bills coming out in the US and they would kill DeFi if they come out, and a lot of it is because they don't understand how DeFi works and that DeFi isn't all about black markets and this type of stuff. So education there is important on that. And on the February, well, you said mid Q1 February kind of, how confident are we? Not holding you to timelines on this, because I know how crypto, and especially when regulation comes in, it's hard to gauge, but are we?
Yeah, so a lot of, I would say, the technical build is actually in a late stage of development at this point in time. The main thing that we're using, I would say, the extra time on at this point in time is to ensure that the minting and burning process flows are actually conducted in the most robust manner possible, because you don't want to be able to accidentally have printing of a fiat-backed stablecoin within the ecosystem. So right now it's mainly just testing and making sure that like our key signatures, key management and everything else for the minting of USDA and everything is 100% safe and secure and above board and within our realms of control.
Okay, and just on the minting, will that be fully centralized or will there be a smart contract for that? Like, when you go a smart contract, it opens up potential vulnerabilities, or will you keep that part centralized? Or?
So currently right now, like I do, and this probably is a better question for the tech side of things,
okay.
But my understanding, don't hold me to it, is we've got a smart contract that basically pulls information from Prime Trust, or a smart contract that controls the signing keys. It's a multi-sig approach that makes sure that everything that goes into our account at the trust company is 100% backed by the actual tokens that we issue.
Okay.
Same thing on the way out. So like we have multiple processes in place, but from a centralization or a governance standpoint, yes, we are the entity that controls the minting and burning of these tokens, and that is controlled by us as opposed to a third party or anything else.
Yeah, so normally I would push for decentralization, but in something like that, when there is centralization on the back end, I don't really mind it there, and in some ways it adds some safeguards to it when you're talking about hopefully bringing hundreds of millions of dollars of stablecoin assets into Cardano, and it leaves a very easy on-ramp for people that they can go to, people coming in new, they can go to a trusted bank or source, deposit their USD, and they know it's safe, they know it's backed, because that stops lots of people coming in when you hear the stories of other chains and other stablecoins that they're worried it could disappear. So anything else on the lines for Emurgo as well that we can expect?
And kind of like going into your talking points in regards to pushing for decentralization. So me being in the industry for so long, like I came from being a decentralized maxi into, okay, like there is need for regulation in certain aspects.
Yeah.
And for me, like the biggest thing that we're really pushing for the Emurgo FinTech is allowing for people to be able to, like for example, me and my Yoroi wallet. Let's say I've got cash in my wallet, I want to be able to move that into a centralized world where I can take a loan against it. So let's say I move $5,000 or $10,000 into ANZENS, I can take a loan out against it, and I can go out and buy real world goods and services. But within 20 seconds, I want to be able to move the funds that I have back into an anonymous crypto wallet that's on the unregulated side of the fence. So it's like I want to be able to pick as a consumer where I want to be regulated, where I don't want to be regulated, and it basically allows the consumers to determine for themselves where they want their risk profile to be. So like I'm perfectly fine with managing my own keys, my own coins, but like people that want a more regulated solution, we can offer that to them, and people that want to go in between or back and forth, that's something that again, it should be the choice of that end consumer.
Yeah, you give people options, and everyone decides their own risk level and their own tolerance of that. So it's good to have the options like that. But actually, are you looking cross-chain or just Cardano?
So at this point in time, our focus is mainly on the Cardano blockchain, but I think going forward, there could be potential to do things cross-chain, either through the ANZENS platform or through decentralized applications. Our big thing right now is, again, it's like there's just so much potential for building real-world value on Cardano, because different blockchains are good at different things, and for us, we do believe that for the tokenization of real-world assets, just due to the way in which Cardano is set up with its native assets, makes it a prime choice for fintech applications. And that's the reason why Emurgo is investing so much on the fintech side of things, is because this blockchain is almost, in a way, purpose-built for these types of real-world applications.
Okay, great. And before we finish up, just on Emurgo in general, so over the last year or so, we haven't seen a huge amount out of Emurgo. I suppose the last few months we've started to see stuff coming out, but what else can we expect to see from them?
Yeah, so like one really exciting thing that I'm personally very excited to bring to market is, so we admit over the last year or so, the wallet performance on Yoroi has left a lot to be desired, and that's putting it nicely. And
I got some panic DMs from people that my balance doesn't show, and it was just it generally always comes back to the sync, just not syncing up. But it is scary when you go into your wallet and funds don't show. It's
100% agree. And like for us, like actually want to provide a little bit of explanation, and also what the solution will be. And this is actually something that you guys can expect to see in the next week or so. When the Cardano ecosystem was blowing up during DeFi summer and there was a bunch of new people coming in, we lost a large chunk of our tech team and ended up accruing a lot of technical debt where we were building things on top of a foundation that was not properly set up to be able to handle the scale in which Yoroi is operating at this point in time. So over the last, let's say, 4 to 6 months, we've basically put our heads down and in a better way kind of carpet bombed the old code base and rewrote a lot of it to be performant, to be built for the future, because Yoroi, we believe, is going to kind of be that introduction point into the Cardano ecosystem as well as into ANZs and the regulated side. So we actually wrote our own version of a back-end database syncing solution similar to DB Sync that we've set up for Yoroi that's 20 to 40 times faster than the current solutions on the market. That's going to be pushed into production on the 1st of January. And we're actually even thinking about productizing that and giving that to the community to be able to interact with the Cardano blockchain in a much more simple and efficient manner. But like I would say from an excitement standpoint, Yoroi just in the next week or so shall be seeing substantial performance improvements, and we've just kind of been heads down working on it, and we didn't want to announce anything up until basically it was ready to go live.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, by the time it'll be 4 or 5 days before I get back home to get this video out, so maybe the improvements might even be out by then.
Yep.
Anything else on Emurgo before we close out here that'd be good to put out there? Or?
Yeah, so I mean, I know that this is currently a bear market in crypto, but Emurgo is more committed than ever to deploying capital to build real-world applications on top of blockchain technology. So I know in Trucking 2049 we announced the deployment of another $200 million, $100 million in the Emurgo Africa initiative, as well as another $100 million on Emurgo Ventures. And then Cardano Spot, which is the media arm of the Cardano blockchain, just made their recent announcement to kind of shine a spotlight in regards to what are the new and exciting products that are taking place within the Cardano ecosystem. So I think over the next couple of months to a year, Emurgo is going to be a lot more prominent and more engaged with the community moving forward.
Okay, that's good to hear. It's especially in these times when people might have doubts during a bear market to see the big companies behind it coming out in force. So thanks very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Maybe we'll do a follow-up. It'll be a virtual interview, but in 2 months or something like that, leading up to launch, we could do a follow-up and see how things have progressed.
Awesome.
Thanks very much. So if you think others would like to see this, make sure you share it out, subscribe if you're new, comment questions or anything down below as well, and let us know how the Yoroi performance is when you're watching this video too. Thanks for watching.